are. My name is Sona, and I'm Vidyamala's partner, husband actually, and live together with Vidyamala. For those of you who were here last week, she said, I think, that she wouldn't be attending because she's on a retreat, she's just down the road actually on a retreat next door. With I think about 100 people in one way or another joining a Breathworks retreat. So they're having a very good time learning all about the nervous system. Anyway, my name is Sona. I'm one of the co-founders of Breathworks. I'm retired from Breathworks now, though. But I have stood in for Vidyamala occasionally when she needed some space to breathe and couldn't make the Tuesday evening. She loves coming here. So every Tuesday, even when she's really tired, and I sort of say, "Are you sure you want to do this tonight?" She says, yes, and she does it, and she loves being with you all. And she always seems to come back sort of refreshed, resourced after meditating and just being with you. So I thought I'd just share that with you. So I'm looking forward to, I'm a bit tired, so I'm looking forward to being resourced too. And it's been nice being here. So let's take, I can't remember what Vidyamala did, but I believe she used to mention almost everyone's name as you joined. And I can't read that fast. So, and I'm dyslexic. So you're just going to have to adapt to doing it the Sona way this week. So anyway, a very warm welcome, and I'm very pleased that you're here. So I guess, well, there's 33 people participating at the moment, more people joining. I don't know when most people arrive, so it's a bit difficult, that, isn't it, when you know you've got something to say and you don't know when to say it. So I'm just sort of waffling on a little bit to make us all feel more comfortable. And I kind of expect there wouldn't be as many people attending tonight because it's not Vidyamala, it's just someone else. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the meditation that I'd like us to do this evening. I think I think last week Vidyamala invented something, she said, some sort of mindfulness anchor or breathing meditation. So I thought I'd invent one as well this week, just to, do the same as her. So I think we'll do a kind of loving kindness meditation. I'm kind of assuming most of you or all of you have done a Breathworks course or know about Breathworks in one way or another. And you probably know that Breathworks teach a loving kindness or a kindly awareness practice that's split into 3 parts of compassion to self. I can't really remember the names now because they got changed over the years. Compassion to oneself, compassion to a friend. Oh, no, it's not. It's compassion. I can't even remember. Does anyone remember what it is? It's one is being compassionate to two of them being, 3 of them are being compassion to yourself. That's right. One is being aware of yourself and the difficulties, being compassionate to your pain and illness, and then finding the pleasant things in life that you're compassionate to, and then spreading out, connecting with everyone else so that you feel you're resourced, that you're well and caring, and then you can just be aware of all the pleasant things and realize that life isn't all difficult. It actually has good things. And then you can think of everyone else, which is not an easy thing. There are other ways of doing kindly awareness practice, and Breathworks certainly used several ways of doing it. Another way of doing it is to think of yourself, a friend, what we call a neutral person, then sometimes a difficult person, and then again doing everyone. or it may just be yourself, a friend, and then everyone. So I'm not sure which one of those I'm going to do this evening, so it depends what emerges in my mind, then I'll share it with you. But I am interested in what happens in the connection practice. And the connection practice is, in a way, probably the most important one, because in a sense, all human beings are looking for connection. And when you're not connected, it's said to be one of the things that can cause a lot of ill health. Actually, it's not being connected, it's the feeling of isolation. If you feel isolated, it's extremely unhealthy, which doesn't mean to say that if you are isolated, you're in danger of being unhealthy. It's just the experience of feeling isolated that is damaging. So being connected to others, even if it's rarely or in your mind, but you do definitely feel that connection, that would be quite healthy. And if you're feeling very isolated and alone, then maybe, at least for this evening, you can be aware that there's over 40 of us all connecting. So we're all connecting with one another. You've got a connection with us all. And as human beings, that should be feeding us and resourcing us. So that's good. And I'm very happy to feel connected to you all. So I hope you feel the same. When you do the loving kindness practice and you come to the connection section, there are different ways of doing it. But in a sense, sometimes it's not really clear what you're doing actually in that practice, because you're thinking of others, and you're thinking usually of others who are suffering. And in some practice, you could be sort of well-wishing. In fact, we often say that. I think some of the recordings I've done for Breathworks, I've said, you could be wishing other people well. And in a way, you're doing that so that you can evoke in yourself a feeling of sort of something being communicated, something going out, even radiating from you to all those people who are suffering. But I've been reflecting on, the world suffering, and very often when people teach, maybe not so much at Breathworks, but in other places, they teach a loving kindness practice. They often remind you of all the suffering in the world. And sometimes that can be overwhelming, can't it? You don't really want to be, you could be experiencing your own suffering, and then you have to think of all these other people, thousands, millions of people who are suffering, and it just can be really overwhelming. And it's, if you're feeling really positive and full of, a lot of energy, and you feel very positive at the moment, maybe that's not such a problem. You can feel even that maybe you're radiating outwards. But the whole of Breathworks is predicated really on some teachings of the Buddha. And one of the teachings of the Buddha is something called the Four Noble Truths, which is like a doctor's prognosis, that there is suffering, which is like an illness or a condition. There's the cause of it, which is what doctors do and find out, what you did, what's caused this illness. And then there's, well, not in all cases, but, from the doctor's point of view, the cure. They're going to cure you, and then there's a method of curing you. Well, the Buddha used the same process. He said that in life there is, he used a word called dukkha, and it's usually translated as suffering. And then there's the cause of suffering, and then the state of the freedom from suffering and the way in which you can achieve that. But I wanted to look at this word dukkha, because the word suffering isn't a very good translation of it. The Buddha gives a kind of metaphor, an analogy of what he means. He talks about feeling as though you are sitting on a cart that's being pulled by oxen in the time of the Buddha, 2,500 years ago. And one of the wheels is ill-fitting. So when you're traveling all year long, you can imagine it wouldn't be a smooth ride, would it? Imagine if the wheel had a bump in it. Every now and again, you'd be going, if you're watching what I'm doing, you're sort of like bumping up and down. It would be uncomfortable. And then it would be comfortable. Then it would be uncomfortable. And it'd be comfortable. Then it'd be uncomfortable. And he said that what human beings suffer from in life is really not understanding that this is what life is like. That life is often out of kilter. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this word, kilter. It's not used so much nowadays, but it's there in English, and I had to look it up to see what it meant. It means you expect things to go in a certain sort of way. It's the word kilter. And out of kilter, they don't go the right way. It's not, things don't work in the same way. So life is like this. Basically, it's out of kilter every so often. Just when everything's going well, then it's raining. Just when you're planning to go off in the sunshine, suddenly rains. You get everything, it's all the building blocks of your life set up, and then something goes wrong, as we've all experienced. And this gets translated as suffering. And what the Buddha's teaching is all about really is having this insight that you can't fix the world. You can care about people that are suffering in the world, but you can't care about and help everyone. But maybe it's more useful to think, wouldn't it be nice if you could help people to recognize that you can't always have things the way you want them? And what we teach at Breathworks, when I say we, I still identify with Breathworks, and what Breathworks teaches is that gives you the way of dealing with the difficult. So when things go out of kilter, which could be your health, and that is usually what it's a sort of group that the demographic group where we started working with, is you're stressed or you've got chronic pain, you're out of kilter. But then it's how you deal with that that's so important. That if you've got the tools to know how to deal with the suffering or the difficulty when it arises, you've got skills to bear with it, to accept it in a way, and then carry on and make your life as full and meaningful as possible. So I was going to suggest in this meditation, what we could do if we wanted is wish everyone in the world, at least in this group, that we've all got the skills to know how to deal with difficulties. And I think that's one of the most wonderful gifts you can give people. That if you know how to deal with the difficulties in your life, then you can take responsibility for yourself, and you can, as you can see with Vidyamala, she's managed to live a life where she's flourishing and doing so well for herself with terrible condition and still quite a lot of pain much of the time. So when if I mention the word suffering, I'm kind of thinking about this really. It's not so much like being tortured or starving or being in a war zone or so, but it's actually just recognizing that we're all human beings. We expect things to go well. They don't always. It goes out of kilter, and we are capable of coping with it, of working with it. Sometimes it means working with it, and sometimes it means just knowing that, okay, now I just have to rest, take it easy, or whatever. So let's do a meditation together, and don't worry about all the real horrible suffering in the world. Let's just think about everyone has this out of kilter, this dukkha in their lives. So if you like to find a comfortable posture, usually if you're sitting up, make sure your feet are flat on the floor. And if you can not lean back, if it's comfortable for not just leaning back in a sort of relaxation, sleepy mood, you'll probably feel more awake. But don't find a posture that's too stressful. So 15 minutes of recognizing and accepting in ourselves that our life, it doesn't always go in the way we wish it to. And you may feel, first of all, that actually it's not going that way at the moment. It feels painful, it's unpleasant. if it's feeling painful or unpleasant, if anything is there, you feel tense, and just recognizing that you have that condition. That condition may be you can't change, not at this moment. It is what it is at this moment. And how we respond to that experience is all important. For those who are feeling quite comfortable, relaxed, chilled, alert, not feeling anything particularly untowards, it's difficult. Maybe you could just reflect on the fact that this is how you experience things now, which is great. And often when we meditate, when we give ourselves space and time, we can come back to this kind of spaciousness. And we can dwell in it. And in that dwelling in it, something arises, a feeling of well-being. And even if we're suffering, accepting the suffering, the pain or the stress, the anxiety, and then moving our attention, relocating our attention to just sitting, just breathing, just accepting. If your mind keeps wandering off, if other things seem to occupy you, maybe just come back to the experience of breathing, realizing that you are breathing in life. May not literally be the case. Literally, you're breathing in oxygen, which is keeping you alive. But we can think of this more metaphorically, like we're breathing in with each breath, life, and we're breathing out with each breath, life. We're alive. Just letting go as best we can. And perhaps one of the little tips about finding this quiet this spaciousness. It will occur for most people, probably for everyone who can concentrate, maybe very quickly. And then we think, oh, something's happening. And of course, it starts to dissolve away. So just recognizing, yes, I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to be quiet, content, still, even for a few seconds. It feels healthy. It feels as though it's bringing well-being, being well as well as we can be. Bringing freedom from all the pulls, difficulties, all the emotional pulls, the anxious thoughts, just letting them fall away into a quietude, spaciousness. And in this spaciousness, even if we have to think it, invite a friend, a good friend, someone that you can be aware of as breathing, being aware that they have their life where they want to avoid pain, be happy, but no one's happy all the time without some discomfort, without something going out of kilter. Maybe our friend is doing mind training of some sort and knows how to work with their mind. Maybe they don't. In either case, we could just imagine giving them encouragement. They become more awake, more able to deal with difficulties. Maybe the way we communicate that to our friends is by not always telling them, but just the way we behave. We could practice behaving like we would like to communicate, being still, quiet. And if it helps, you can imagine that you're sitting with your friend quietly, not talking, maybe in front of a fire, looking at the flames, or a beautiful landscape. Both of us are breathing. Maybe this is what love is. It's transmission, being together, connecting. So we're having to use our imagination to do this practice. Brought a friend to mind in our imagination. Now we can expand and grow our imagination to just realizing, without looking, that we're sitting with a lot of other people. We're also sitting, looking, or being with, rather, a lot of other people, including us, including myself or self. When we forget how to deal with difficulties, we could imagine that we're all supporting each other. Being there, even if it's in the mind of another, in their mind. And all the people around you, if only they could work or deal with, be aware of, that life cannot be fixed, cannot be controlled. We are subject to changes that we are learning how to deal with, the difficult times, learning how to enjoy the good times. It's like being a sailor, being able to sail with a good wind and sunny day, and to be able to sail through the storms and the rough weather. We have the skills. You could even imagine that wherever you go or whoever you contact, something of your own experience of being able to access the stillness, even if it's just for a few seconds, can rub off onto others. If we wanted to make a difference to the world, this would be one way of seeing how we could do it. As though the vibrations that we create are influencing all those around us, and even at a distance. And to change the metaphor a little bit, we could imagine that we are a little bit of sunshine, shining into the lives of others. Warming them, bringing light. And in doing so, we benefit as well. And now we've reached the end of the period we set ourselves. And perhaps we could just begin to open our eyes, and if you've got gallery view on, you can see many of the other participants. You might like to share a smile with them, even if you don't feel like smiling. it makes a difference if you do smile. And I hope that was helpful. Afraid I talked a bit too much, but there you go. That's one of the things you get from me. And fortunately, you probably get more meditation from Vidyamala. And I believe she's back next week. But I'm not completely sure. So thank you very much for putting up with me this evening and allowing me to hold the space for Vidyamala. I hope I haven't put anyone off and that you will come back and join with her and this group. And I think actually what I wish more than anything, that you all recognize that you are connected in one way or another with the Space to Breathe group, that you are a community of people coming regularly or irregularly to this group. What a wonderful thing. So I think I'm going to leave it there and let you go. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Sona.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you,
everyone.
Sona.
Lovely.
See you next
Bye.
week.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Go well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sona.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
Happy
Thanks,
holidays,
Mel.
everyone.
Oh,
Same
happy
here.
holidays.
So
Take
good
care,
to see
Sona.
you and share this time.
Thank you, Ariane.
I just really love it, Sona, when you do Space to Breathe,
Do you? Oh dear.
because a lot of it is just things that I've learned, but I learn it again and again and again. And it really